I'm Sarahbeth Golden. I'm a psychology professor, and I teach human services classes as well as psychology classes.
And I am Betsy Leondar-Wright, and I teach sociology. And this background you're seeing here is my beautiful office building and the beautiful tree in front of it. So we're posing ourselves as if—
Oh yes, I'm in front of admissions.
Probably seen before. So we're going to quickly run through we have two social science majors. We're going to quickly run through the basics of them, and then we're going to invite your questions and answer whatever you're curious about. So I'm going to share my screen and open my PowerPoint to full size. If I can. So I think Lasell has a very exciting sociology major. It's applied sociology. It's not like at some other colleges where it's all the theory of how things work among people and organizations and institutions in society. You mostly learn by doing. So our classes have lots of interactive activities and discussions. And it's a very good resume building major, because a lot of the classes involve interacting with professionals. There's a required full-year internship and several required field projects. And so every student ends up with contacts with journalists, people in the media, elected officials, and people in public agencies, and especially with nonprofits. A lot of our courses, you work with and assist people at nonprofits working for a wide variety of causes. So that what this major prepares you for is a wide variety of careers. People go into media, into education, whether that's K-12 education or higher ed, people end up working at colleges, public agencies, legislative offices, for-profit businesses, especially green businesses, and probably especially nonprofit organizations. It's a relatively light major. We deliberately made it, low enough on the required courses so that a lot of our students do a semester abroad, or they can have a minor. So they can major in sociology and minor in something else. And you can also minor in sociology. So here's one example. After organizing this panel on climate change, this student, the person sitting on the right there, got 2 job offers from audience members of the panel. So it's a very good all-purpose major. So it's really good for students who want to make a difference in their community or the world, and for students who like active learning. So that's who we're especially looking for with the sociology major. So yeah, why don't I leave it there and see if we have any questions specifically about sociology, and then Sarahbeth will present about psychology. So you can type into the chat if you have a question.
Or the Q&A, I think either one.
Oh, the Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wonder if I should just jump in and do my overview really quickly, because folks may have questions about both or just general ones. Okay. And I will say, as a psychologist, I probably would major in sociology. It's a really cool major. I'm always excited. But yeah, don't tell the dean that I said that. Okay, so let me share my screen here. I've got a little PowerPoint about the psych major. Here we go. Let's see. I need to get it to start. Slideshow from beginning. Here we go. All right. So in the psychology major, we have some core courses. We get students getting their hands dirty right away from the very first year that they're majoring in psych. And that's with HS 101, which is called Human Services Systems and Strategies. Students visit human service agencies in Massachusetts. They work in teams to learn about these agencies and their strengths and the areas that they need to improve on. Many of my students do a volunteering component in a local nonprofit human service agency. That they also learn some skills for what a direct provider of human services might do, but they learn the history of human services, some theories, but really it's mostly about populations that need help and how to best help them. Then students take this counseling and case management where they actually learn counseling skills. They do this great project where they film themselves as the counselor speaking with a client. They each take turns. One turn you act as the counselor, the other turn you act as the client, practicing the skills that you learn in the class. And it's videotaped, so then you analyze it. And I have to say, this is a really cool assignment that most students do during their sophomore year. When I was a graduate student in a PhD program, I had to do something like this. So it's a pretty cool thing that you're doing it typically as sophomores. After you take that class, then our internships start. So most students, their junior year in psychology, they do a semester-long internship. And then their senior year, they do a second internship that lasts the whole year. So, and then I have a little sampling of some of the required psychology courses that students tend to take. But like our hallmark is like the internship sequence. These are the classes that students tend to talk about when they're about to graduate or after they've graduated, of what classes made the biggest impression on them. Okay, so I wanted to just spotlight internships a little bit here. Whoops. We have students interning anywhere from psychiatric hospitals to juvenile probation courts to elementary schools to group homes and residential treatment facilities to elder care facilities. Some of them do work in nonprofit agencies, at advocacy work, talking with politicians and legislators to try to affect policy change. So a broad range. We have a lot of partners in the greater Boston area that we've worked with for a long time, and they love our students. In fact, we've gotten feedback from some of the places saying, we like Lasell students the best. And I think part of this is because they do the internship and it is accompanied by a seminar. So they're getting a lot of supervision, both on-site and off-site. And a lot of times they get careers out of it. We also have opportunities to engage in research, and many of our students end up presenting their research at conferences, which might sound scary to a high school student, but it's actually a lot of fun. One of the things I love about teaching at Lasell is seeing a student stop being afraid of research and actually get really excited about it. And then I just have a little slide about where a lot of our students end up. Many of our students go on to graduate school. We've actually had some students go to law school as well, but they might get an MSW in social work or become licensed mental health counselors. I know a couple students have become school psychologists. We have students that have gone to graduate school for public health. And then we've got I have just a list of example schools that students have attended: Columbia, BC, BU, Simmons. They go all over the place. Some of our students get hired right out of college, working for the Department of Children and Families or the Home for Little Wanderers or the Brandon Residential School. Many times, if you intern at Bournewood Psychiatric Hospital, you end up getting offered a job at the end of the year. So we have a lot of fun places where students end up working or going to continue their education, but I'm going to stop there in case, just to give you guys a chance to ask questions. That was the quick and dirty psychology major overview.
I just wanted to chime in and say that I think the alumni who majored in psychology are the most enthusiastic when they come back and talk to us. They're like, I was so much better prepared than other
It's true.
people. I'm up there with the people who went to grad school already. I'm getting promoted. They're like, you taught us just the things we would need.
I know, we're like, well, that's great. That was all part of our plan. I'm glad
Right.
it's working out.
It worked.
It's true. They'll usually every semester I get an email from somebody who's in like graduate school, and they're like, "Thank you. I know that paper, that literature review you made us write was torture at the time, but I like totally have an advantage over my classmates. I like know what I'm doing." So um, it's all worth it, according to the alumni. So do people have questions about either major, the program, Lasell in general? Yeah, this is an opportunity to stump the experts here too.
I'm assuming, oh yes, we got a question. Great. Ah,
I'm a psych major and I want to pursue a career in research.
oh,
Where have
good.
other Lasell students like me scored internships and careers? Okay, great question. So we have had several students intern at an agency that focuses on research. I've taught personally students who worked for a neuropsych lab, like interned at the neuropsych lab. I've had students intern at the VA hospital has a great research program there. In fact, a former student got her master's in public health from BU and now oversees research projects at the VA, and she'll take our students as interns to help with the research project. So we've had students intern with a researcher out of, I think, Cambridge Health Alliance. No, might be Harvard. But this researcher I shamelessly cited in my dissertation, so they're like a big deal, and we've gotten students interning with her before as well. And we also have opportunities to engage in your own research with faculty. We even have a new grant program that involves money for undergrads who have like their own research idea that they want to pursue. So lots of opportunities to do it for credit, for fun. You can tag it onto a class, like a class that's worth 3 credits. You could take a research linked credit and have the course actually be worth 4 credits. So lots of different ways to incorporate research. And I'm glad that you're interested in research.
Other questions? Anything about Lasell in general? What it's like to be a student here? What the faculty are like, the classes are like?
I'll say one thing about, oh,
Ah,
do we have a question? All right.
good question.
What clubs can students involved in social sciences get involved with? Another good question.
Some of my sociology majors, we have an environmental club called LEAF, is Lasell Environmental Action. I'm forgetting what the last word is. Some people have combined being active in LEAF on environmental issues while taking a related sociology course and doing that thing that Professor Golden was just saying about adding on another credit of doing an environmental project. So that one seems to have worked very well, putting those components together, a course, a club, and what we call a linked credit. You do an extra project on top of a class. What else would be a good one?
Well, we have a chapter of Active Minds on campus, and they raise awareness about suicide risk and suicide prevention. We also have a psychology club, and they do events that are based on anything from like hosting a movie night that depicts some kind of psychological phenomena and then talking about it, or I'm trying to think of other things. I used to be the advisor for the psychology club. It's been a while.
Well, the Multicultural Student Union, that's a really good fit. We have tons and tons of programming through the Intercultural Center related to different ethnic groups and other identity groups, and just celebrating diverse cultures. And so I think there's pretty high overlap between the social science majors and the Multicultural Student Union, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many clubs we have in total, but it's like over 80.
Yeah.
There's a lot of clubs, lots of opportunities to join. How do you apply for internships? How does Lasell help students get internships? Are there international and domestic opportunities? Okay, so we have an internship coordinator who helps students like kind of narrow down where their interests. We have a database of places where students have interned in the past. It may be last semester they interned there, it may be 10 years ago. So we're constantly updating that database. So the students all meet with our internship coordinator to talk about their interests, like where they want to intern. And the coordinator tends to know people in the field and can kind of link students up with them. Basically, we encourage students to contact as many agencies as they can to get a sense of, you know, who is looking for interns. Then students typically interview and get the internship. But we typically have at any given time, let's see, how many seniors do we have doing internships? Like 33. I think we have 33 or 34 seniors who are currently interning. And then I can't remember how many juniors were doing their internships. But there's a lot of assistance, and our Career Center also has helped students find internships. Oh, and then the other part of the question was about domestic and international opportunities. So right now, because our internship program is accompanied by a seminar, all of our internships have been domestic, at least in social sciences. We have been experimenting with internships over the summer, which are accompanied by an online seminar. So that might be an opportunity for at least going somewhere in the United States. We would just need to have contact with the people at the site, like the supervisor. International, though, that's interesting. I don't think we've done that yet.
Well, we have many international programs. We have the shoulder-to-shoulder service trips, and of course, this huge variety of semester abroad programs. So lots of our social science majors do get international experience and get credit for it during their time at Lasell, even if their internship mostly needs to be local.
Okay, looks like we have a question from Carolyn. I currently work at the Village and will be starting school in the fall. Congratulations, awesome. Do you have others who attend part-time in the psych program, and do you feel it's a doable endeavor? Yes, doable. Actually, I think working part-time in the field at the same time that you're in school is sort of an advantage, because you'll have direct application to a lot of the things you're learning about, and you'll be able to like bring your experiences from the Village into your classes and talk about what you're seeing there and how they relate to the concepts in the class. I think you'll need to have like good time management and like keep a planner to keep track, but we have many students who go full-time and then also part-time jobs. So in a way, it's like opposite of that, full-time job with being in school part-time. So if you're organized, definitely can do it. Betsy, did you have anything to add?
No, just that it's not that uncommon at Lasell to do it in more than 4 years, to be part-time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's no big obstacles to that. So, okay, we have another question. Looks like another one for you, Sarahbeth.
Let's see. Okay. I'm most interested in the developmental and abnormal fields, but I also like social, emotional, and cognitive. What courses do you recommend? Well, I just recommend majoring in psychology because you'll get all of those. Let me hang on. Let me move this out of the questions pop up and I have to move them. So the psychology curriculum requires all psych students to take an abnormal psychology class, to take 2 developmental classes. We offer child development, adolescent development, adult development and aging. We have living and learning with dementia as a class. So there's a lot of developmental classes. What was the other piece that you're interested in? Emotional and cognitive. Okay, so we have a professor, Professor Zhang. His name is Zane Zhang, and I call him Zane the Brain because he's very smart and teaches about the brain. I know, really clever nickname. So we have, let's see, biological bases of behavior, brain function, dysfunction. Those are two good brain classes. We have sensation and perception. We have cognitive processes, and we have one a class that's offered through the English department called From Sounds to Sentences. That's about language development. So I would just recommend you major in psych, and you could minor in child and adolescent studies if you are especially interested in child development. You could take some specialized classes in that area. So I think we hit on all of your major interests in the major.
Oh.
That's the minor you want. It's a really popular minor, child and adolescent studies. Yeah, Betsy, what are some of the minors that sociology and psychology students?
Oh, we're really strong in minors. Let's see. I think I don't know if I should tell something that hasn't started yet, but we're going to have I believe we're going to have a community and public health minor pretty soon. It'll start by the time for the students coming in next fall, and that pairs very well. Let's see, criminal justice, but then there's another one. There's
youth and crime.
Youth and crime. Lots
Yep.
of. I have sociology majors that. We have a human rights one and a diversity and inclusion minor. I have
That's right.
Sociology students who minor in those, as well as youth and crime. We have such a strong criminal justice program that lots of people are in one of the science majors and then also do one of the minors related to criminal justice.
The cool thing about both sociology and psychology majors is there's a lot of room for electives, so that you can build a minor onto your major, or dabble in, another area. I'm thinking of a colleague of ours who works in the Justice Studies department or program, and she teaches a course on domestic violence survivor advocacy, and another one on sexual violence, and does these trainings with the students, like bystander trainings, teaches the students how to train other students. So there's I don't want to say a cult, like a mini cult. It's not, but there's a group that kind of add on those types of classes to the sociology major or to the psychology major.
And then, of course, minors can go farther afield. I have one advisee, her major is psychology. She'd like to do art therapy.
Mm-hmm.
She has an art minor. I think it's called graphic
arts,
or something like that. Minors.
And that would set her up for graduate school in an art therapy program, typically, because she'll have that arts background that a lot of those programs are looking for. I have a student who's minoring in performance arts, majoring in psychology, because she loves theater and chorus, and so that's the cool thing, is that you've got our major, but you have enough flexibility in your course load to look into other areas.
Also, environmental studies, we no longer have a major, but we still have a minor. One of my advisees is doing that minor.
That's right. That has big applications with sociology too.
Sure, yeah.
In comparing Lasell's psychology ranking in regard to other Massachusetts colleges, why should I choose Lasell? What makes Lasell unique? I would have gone here. I would pick Lasell for a number of reasons. I think we're one of the few places where everybody who graduates has an internship, every major. And in psychology, you've had 2 internships. In sociology, you've had an internship and countless like social justice and advocacy projects where you're like Betsy has students going to the state house and all sorts of things. So I would say at the top of my head, the internships and the relationships with faculty. Like this is a place where like you can't hide. I learn all my students' names within the first 2 weeks of class, whether they want me to or not. You can't hide. And as a person who went to a big school, I went to the University of Iowa, I really appreciate the small class sizes and the relationships you form with your faculty.
Probably you already heard this in admissions, when admissions was pitching to you, but we don't have any classes bigger than 24 students, with the rare exceptions of when there's 2 faculty members teaching the same course. But mostly you're in classes that range from 8 to 24. So there's just plenty of room for interaction and for individualized attention, and you're just kind of surrounded by people who want to help you learn.
And I know that there are a lot of schools to choose from out here in good old Massachusetts, but Lasell also just has this like really scrappy spirit where people want to kind of get their hands dirty. Like they really want to do the work. And we have this like school-wide connected learning philosophy where you're not like staring at a lecture, a PowerPoint, and then regurgitating information. You're like learning to think like a psychologist, for example, or think like a sociologist. You're practicing the work in the field. So, and you're doing that from the very beginning. You're not waiting till senior year. Like we have you doing projects that have you use your mind and apply what you know and do the actual work that that a professional would be doing.
Yeah, that connected learning is not just a slogan. It's for real that every course has a hands-on component. And so we attract students who like operating that way. So yeah, I think it is, if that's the way you like to learn, as opposed to just listening and reading and writing, then this is a better school for you.
It's why I wanted to teach here, because I wanted to teach in a place where I had curious students who wanted to like start doing work, like who did, yes, we do have like listening and reading and writing, but we also are doing a lot of projects, and the students kind of drive the bus in terms of the ideas that are pursued.
And me too. That's why I wouldn't have wanted to work at a regular college, but I wanted to work at Lasell. And I think that's another thing. If you think of your professors in your major, they're your reference letters for your future career or your grad school applications, and they're who's going to introduce you to people. Lasell doesn't hire people who are just only scholars. Lasell only hires professors who are active in their fields. And so we all are really great resources for contacts in your future career. We can use our own contacts to get you good internships and stuff like that. And I just don't think there's many good social science programs around in the Boston area, of course, not to diss any of them, but I think that's another way that nobody's got us beat on that.
Mm. You should see who Betsy knows. She's amazing. I teach occasionally a first year seminar called Reality TV, Truth or Trash. And the author of the book that I use, Betsy knows her. Like, and I had no idea. I was just like, oh, Jennifer Posner. And Betsy's like, oh yeah, I know Jen.
Right. Great feminist who's, I've known her through activist circles. So yeah, we all know people in the fields you want to be in.
Well, listen, we're about out of time here, but if folks have more questions, I'm going to type my email in the chat. I'll put Betsy, is yours B. Leon?
I can do it.
Oh, okay, you do it.
No.
So that S. Golden, that's me. Golden like Golden Grams. And that's Betsy's email. So if questions come up as you're thinking about it, please don't hesitate to get in touch. We love hearing from folks.
Yeah, we're glad you were with us today.
We are. And good luck.
Hope to see y'all at Lasell in the fall.
That would be great.